Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to tackle about the Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, or Republic Act number 9262. In this module, we're going to discuss the important provisions of the Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, or Republic Act 9262, and also we're going to discuss the important cases involved in the said law. And at the end of this module, students will be able to understand the important provisions of VAWC Act or Republic Act 9262 and understand the details of its commission. Here are the definition of terms. First, protection orders. Orders issued by the barangay or the courts distancing the perpetrator from the victim and vice versa for reason provided by the law. Second, public crime. Nature of a crime wherein it is considered to be an affront to the society, allowing anyone who has personal knowledge to file a case for VAWC. The Republic Act 9262 or the Anti-Woman and Their Children Act of 2004 is a result of a string advocacies of women's human rights country. This law was deemed to be significant victory for all Filipino women as it was based on the right of a woman not to suffer abuse, discrimination, and violence in their respective relationship. There are important features of the law, and these include: first, 4 kinds of violence against women and their children, and those are physical violence, psychological violence, sexual violence, and economic violence. In its effort to encompasses all types of abuses inflicted to women and their children. Second, VAWC is a republic crime. The crime is perpetrated not only against a single individual but against the entire society. Thus, anyone who has personal knowledge of the abuse, discrimination, or violence can file a complaint. Third, protection order can be issued against the perpetrator. Upon filing the case, the victim, survivor, or anyone who has personal knowledge can apply for the protection order to enforce distance between her and the perpetrator. And lastly, a stronger community mechanism to respond to cases. Various government agencies are aptly respond to formulate mechanism to respond reported cases of VAWC immediately. A protection order under the anti-VAWC law is defined as an order issued for the purpose of preventing further acts of violence against the woman and her child specified in section of this act and granting other necessary relief. The relief granted under a protection order should serve the purpose of safeguarding the victim, minimizing any disruption in the victim's daily life, and facilitating the opportunity and ability of the victims to independently gain control of her life. The law enumerates the following relief that may be availed of through a protection order. First, prohibition of the respondent from threatening to commit or committing personally or through another any of the acts penalized by the anti-VAWC law. Second, prohibition of the respondent from harassing, annoying, telephoning, contacting, or otherwise communicating with the petitioner or the victim survivor directly or indirectly. Third, removal and exclusion of the respondent from the residence of the petitioner, whether temporarily or permanently. Fourth, directing the respondent to stay away from the petitioner and any designated family or household member at a distance specified by the court. Fifth, directing lawful possession and use by the petitioner of an automobile and other personal effects regardless of leadership. granting temporary and permanent custody of a child or children to the petitioner, directing the respondent to provide support to the woman and or her child if entitled to legal support, prohibition of the respondent from any use of possession of any firearm or deadly weapon and order him to surrender the same, including revocation of license and disqualification to apply for any license to use or possess a firearm. Restitution for actual damages caused by the violence inflicted, including property damage, medical expenses, and loss of income. Directing the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD or any appropriate agency to provide temporary shelter and other social services that the petitioner may need. And lastly, provision of the other forms of relief as may be necessary to protect and provide for the safety of the petitioner.
So we have here rights of the victim survivor of VAWC cases. Republic Act 9262 specified that following as right of the victim survivors, Section 35, rights of victims. In addition to the rights under existing laws, victims of violence against women and their children shall have the following rights. So these are the rights: to be treated with respect and dignity, to avail the legal assistance from the Republic Attorney's Office and the Department of Justice of any public legal assistance office, to be entitled to support service from the DSWD and the LGUs, which is the local government units, to entitled to all legal remedies and support as provided for under the Family Code, to be informed of the rights to apply for a protection order. The right to privacy of the victims is also provided in the law, and its violation is punishable by imprisonment and fine. Duties of National and Local Government Office. Section 39 of Republic Act 9262 provides for the creations of the Interagency Council on Violence Against Women and their Children, which shall formulate gender-sensitive programs and projects according to their respective agency mandates, including capability-building programs for their employees. The law of VAWC consists of these following agencies. We have DSWD, National Commission on the Role of Filipino Women, Civil Service Commission, Commission on Human Rights, Council for the Welfare of Children, Department of Justice, Department of Interior and Local Government, Philippine National Police, Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Labor and Employment, and National Bureau of Investigation. The implementing rules and regulation of the Anti-VAWC Act state the following duties and responsibilities of LGUs of barangay in addressing VAWC cases apart from the issuance of barangay protection orders. So we have another section, which is Section 47, Duties and Functions of Barangay Officials. In order to eliminate violence against women and their children, barangay official shall undertake an education program on Republic Act No. 9262 and on violence against women and their children and why it exists, the rights and remedies of victim survivors, and the duties of residents and all barangay officials. Have a family violence prevention program including peer counseling for men. Support organizing efforts and development programs for women in the community. Prioritize livelihood projects for victim survivors. Involve women in planning and implementation of all programs and projects in the barangay. Have an anti-VAWC desk officers in the barangay who shall coordinate on top help desk. As much as possible, this help desk shall open for 24 hours. Ensure that all barangay officials, barangay health workers, barangay nutrition scholars, other barangay workers, and tanod or barangay security officers undergo gender sensitivity seminars to enable them to respond to victims of violence. Develop a system to document and report cases of VAWC and assistance program to victim thereof. And the last one is, if applicable or necessary, prescribe additional guidelines and standards provided that these are consistent with the acts. So that's it.